Sheesh.
Whoa.
Ugh.
All right. This meeting is being recorded.
Andrew, are those new glasses?
They're not new to me, but it's been a long time since I've seen you. So yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
No,
when
I
did
mean
you start wearing glasses?
I've worn them for about a year.
Oh,
Okay.
Only
Did
for
you
I
have them on
only
our
have to
trip?
wear them for podcasts. So
Yeah.
Oh,
probably why I haven't seen them.
yeah. That's
you have a
important.
heavy podcast schedule now?
it's I mean it's just 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I figured.
7 days
I
a week
figured.
straight through. Yeah.
I can't blame you for that. Not at this point.
Anyway,
I wear a freaking knee brace just to go on walks at this point. So,
Just to get out of bed.
right.
just to turn on the TV.
Yeah, well, I sprained my thumb the other day, using the clicker. So,
Who was that? Was it Sammy Sosa? No, it wasn't Sosa.
Yes, it was. That threw his back out sneezing.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
Jim McMahon
is
did something like that
apropos.
too when he was with the Bears. Jim McMahon did something.
Yeah, there have been a few athletes
Well,
who
he was
are
probably drunk.
Well, I'm sure he probably was, but
Yeah.
at this point it'd be hard to get him to tell you because he doesn't remember half of it. So
Yeah, dude, like he's yeah. I remember watching something about him a few years ago, and I wonder how he's doing. Like honestly.
yeah, I'd be curious too because like a couple of years ago there was something about him like his girlfriend having to like give him reminders and everything and like help him make sure he could find his way home and stuff.
He's like the movie Memento.
Was that just from like taking shots to the beaner or what?
Yeah.
I mean that's seems to be it.
Well, he was a partier.
Yes. I don't doubt that he probably added to the shots by, doing shots and,
falling off of balconies.
Yeah, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So, but I wouldn't doubt that. Like, I've always felt like with that whole CTE thing that one of the things the studies will eventually figure out is that, like certain things, some people are just more predisposed to getting concussions and others aren't. Like, others could probably take 100 concussions and they'll never know it. And another guy could have 2 and walk around and not know his name in 10 years, So, I figure once they get far enough down the road and studying that stuff, we'll find that kind of, because some people are predisposed to getting cancer and other people don't get cancer. They smoke, 2 packs a day their entire life and don't get cancer. Somebody else like lives with a smoker and gets cancer, so it's all crazy.
Well, on that note.
Yes. On that happy note. So we're rolling now.
Now to our sponsor, Marlboro. Kodiak pouches.
Kodiak pouches, nice. No free shout outs, Kodiak.
No, we're going with Zin. We're going with the Zin pouches. Getting people off the tobacco.
Aren't those the ones that with the like caffeine or something?
It's a nicotine pouch.
Oh, it is. I mean, so it's energy, right? Like, so it's supposed to be.
I think it just gives it mimics the buzz.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, without the tobacco.
Yep.
Gotcha. Interesting. What do you think if they ban the tush push?
Well, because they push that back another year.
Well, they pushed it back. I actually think they might be having another meeting here later this month or something.
So you could say they punted on the issue.
Yes, they punted on the issue. They pushed it back. What do they call that? There is an official term.
They didn't go for it. They punted.
Yeah. They kicked the can down the street a little bit.
Street, yeah.
I don't know.
I personally I love the idea of the play. I do. Like as a lineman, I have no issues with it. But tons of people are like, "Oh, it's too much like rugby and whatever." And I'm like, "Listen, we've changed so many rules in this game recently. It's like flag football now in some ways. So like, what are we talking about right now?"
I just think it's impossible to defend. So,
except for that, nobody else can do it except for Philly.
No, nobody else. I think nobody else just focuses on it.
Well, that's true. And I've said for a while, the teams who can't do it, like what they need to do is find another position player just to take the snap and do that play. Like, don't put your quarterback. If you're worried about your quarterback not being Jalen Hurts, then find your running back or a tight end. Like in the case of the Colts when they drafted Tyler Warren, your tight end can do that now. He used to be a quarterback, so put him in that spot and let him do it.
Okay.
So what if you're the Saints? Why haven't you mastered that play with
I was just going to ask.
What's his face?
With the BYU kid? Because he hurt.
Fragile as can be.
Because he hurt all the time.
Yeah, he's fragile as can be. That guy's constantly hurt.
It's glass.
I guess
Hurts gets hurt.
You mean the car company?
No, I don't know. The dude's built like a Mack truck, and I guess what I'm saying is like he's just like specialty role player. He just seems like,
Yeah, it seems like he'd be perfect for it, but
yeah.
Yeah, he does.
very sensitive feet because I swear he's constantly getting foot and ankle injuries.
It feels to me like he does all the time. What is his name? That's going to drive me crazy. He's the former
BYU's from
BYU former quarterback kid.
Jimmy Graham. That's it.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, wrong tight end.
Oh, you were thinking of the former tight end.
No,
No, I'm just messing with
making
you.
a joke.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom.
Yeah.
I knew it started with a T.
I thought it was the guy from Miami.
I don't know. Taysom seems, like I said, he doesn't. I don't know if he's quite built like Hurts to be able to do that play, but maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. Well, like the Bills got stuffed on it a couple times in playoffs, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a little bit shocking, to be honest.
Who are they
But
playing?
and wasn't it like 3 times in that game?
Was it 3?
It was at least twice at a minimum.
I mean, I feel like Josh Allen's even bigger than Hurts. Like, I don't know. There's something about the way the Eagles run it. Obviously, it has a lot to do with their offensive line, just as much as it does with Hurts. But
yeah,
I don't think they get rid of it.
Well, I think they're leaning towards it because the commissioner was the one who's like, hey, I think we need to get rid of this, and they're talking about injuries, and I'm like, the numbers don't support that. They haven't had.
No, I just think it's boring. I mean, if you're going to have a game come down to that play at the last second, like that's a freaking boring way to end it.
I'm not going to argue with you there.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue that.
I don't think you can get rid of a play because it's boring. There'd be a lot of running plays.
Yeah, all these players that didn't work this game, get them out of here.
Yeah, fullback dive isn't going well. Of course, nobody runs.
No draw plays. No draw plays from here on out.
Right. Yeah.
Or any play run by the, I don't know, Tennessee Titans. Just kidding. They're super boring.
Did you guys pay attention to the 49ers draft at all?
The 49ers draft?
Isn't that your boys?
It wasn't all that great.
You didn't think so?
Like it was like slightly above average, but I don't remember specifics very well. But I have this thing called a phone where I could Google. How could I know any of those guys?
Is that what we're leading off with? Is the Niners draft?
Sure, why not? Or just curious, or your thoughts on the draft?
So here's the thing.
All right, lay.
If the Niners lose CMC in 2025, they are, or Trent Williams, or both, or neither. They are toast. They are cooked because they lost all their other running backs except for Garendo, who was their rookie last year.
Right, the Louisville kid. Yeah.
Now I like that they grab an Iowa tight end in like the 6th or 7th round.
They grabbed an Iowa guard.
Yes, they did grab an Iowa guard.
They did not draft a tight end though.
You can't make your number one receiver your tight end. I mean, you're going to become the Raiders. They don't have anybody right now. They have Ayuk and they have Kittle.
Yes.
Now,
yeah, they pretty much lost everyone else.
I am praying Saleh resurrects that defense because they were so bad at rushing the passer last year. I mean, you saw some games they got freaking torched.
Yes.
They could not get to the quarterback.
No.
So I know they drafted heavy defense. I'm good with that. I just honestly I'm not that familiar with the players that they grabbed. I mean, who is like the kid from Montana?
Like, yeah, I mean, he was your last.
I don't know.
So wide receiver kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you went defense heavy, which is probably good. I wish they would grabbed maybe if there was a receiver in the middle rounds that would have been a steal. That would have been nice. But they did get Curtis Rourke. I thought that was interesting. He was a 7th rounder.
Yeah,
Indiana quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, he was at Ohio for like 4 years before he went to Indiana, and then I thought he had a pretty decent season, but
yeah,
struggled in the 2 big games that they played. Struggled against Ohio State and struggled against Notre Dame.
Well, who did?
So they went the first team.
Yeah, well, I mean, those were the 2 national championship teams, so I don't think he's got anything to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know Michael Williams from Georgia. I don't know him. I know he was probably well coached. And then you got a defensive tackle. Like I'm good with it. Nick Martin from Oklahoma State. I watched some Oklahoma State games, and he doesn't ring a bell. I'm really bummed that they lost Dre Greenlaw in the offseason because that. Oh man.
Well, and you'll still have your boy, the linebacker kid, who's all over the place. Probably best linebacker.
Yeah, Fred Warner.
Yeah,
Warner?
Fred Warner. Yeah, you'll still have him.
Fred Warner.
Why I can't remember his name.
Fred
But
Warner?
he they're going to re-sign
Yeah, they
him.
still have
They'll
Lenore.
sign Brock. They're going to re-sign. They're going to sign Purdy. Sounds like the number might be over $50 million a year for him.
That seems absurd. I like the kid, but I don't think
I'd ask for 60.
he's lowballing himself.
He probably lives off of like 20K a year, like his lifestyle. He's probably like.
Well, have you seen what he's been paid? He's been making less than pretty much every major NIL quarterback in college for the last 3 years.
Well, what about Ewers? Ewers comes out a year early. Could have entered the portal. Could have entered the portal and probably gotten what, 5 million, and drops to the 7th round, dude.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of crazy coming out. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you can't stay at Texas because the noise for Arch was too much. He had to leave Texas, but he should have stayed in college because somebody would have handed him a bag.
Yeah, exactly.
More than he would have made in the first 4 years in the NFL, and that's if he sticks around long enough to be to be in the league for a while.
Who drafted him?
Ooh, who did draft him?
I don't know.
The Jets.
Who did you guys think had the best draft? Aaron, your Seahawks, they cleaned up, I gotta say. I'm not happy about it. They cleaned up.
They've been getting good grades. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. They've been so frustrating. I just don't know if anything's going to make up for freaking, Sam Darnold at quarterback. I don't know if whoever they put out there is going to be enough. Now, they did talk like they want to. Ewers went to the Dolphins in round 7. They were talking about wanting to run the ball more, Mike McDonald, because he's a defensive guy, so they want to run. And they've got now 3 solid running backs if the Miami kid that they drafted is good.
Yeah.
The only issue they have there is the number 1 guy, running back kid out of Michigan State. He gets hurt fairly regularly. But outside of that,
Kenneth Walker.
Yes, Walker. Charbonnet is he's underrated, I think. I don't think he gets enough because when he becomes the guy, they always have great running games. Like if he becomes the running back for the game because Walker's hurt. Charbonnet has a great game, but between the 3 of them, we'll see if they run the ball more. They drafted the tight end kid out of Notre Dame to be more of a blocker, the Oots kid, who was a tight end from Notre Dame. So I will say this is on a completely different note. I was jacked. The kid that I coached in high school, Jackson Hawes, got drafted in the 5th round by the Bills. So I was stoked for that. Like I was so excited for that kid because I just didn't want him to end up in some place like Cleveland, like Nate did, or one of the other toilet bowls that would ruin careers. So sorry Cleveland fans if anybody's paying attention to this, which I highly doubt. We'll have like 3 people watch it, but
definitely not at this exact moment. They don't know we're recording.
No, that's true. Cleveland to me is a place that just ruins careers. So we'll see, if he how
does
he does.
Does
But I'm
Shador
excited.
start a game this year?
What's that?
Does Shador start a game this year?
With the way Cleveland rotates quarterbacks, I'm going to take the over on that. I'm going to say yes, he starts a game.
Well, what do you think?
I think so too.
Is that like? Because I mean, there were talks months ago of him possibly being like the number 1 pick.
Right.
That all like fell apart. But did that fall apart over time and everybody just kind of let him drop? And I just wasn't paying attention, or was that like a surprise to everybody that he fell that far?
Honestly, I'm going to say it's a little bit of both of those because it felt like to me over the last couple of months as I was listening and catching stuff on NFL radio and everything, it felt like he was sort of slowly sliding because he went from being up there as like, ooh, is it Cam Ward? Is it Shador? Is it Cam Ward? Is it Shador? And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, Shador to number 3 at the Giants. And then it was like, oh, maybe not there. And then it was like the week and a half before the draft, it was like, okay, Shador to the Pittsburgh at 21. And he just kind of kept going down. And I was like, nobody would say why. Nobody was like, oh, well, this has been found out or that has been found out.
Yeah.
And the one thing that the guys on that I listened to that you turned me on, Damon and Ravi on Hurrdat, the one thing they were saying was that it's because they were saying that if it's the Dion thing, if it's Dion, just say it. Like they didn't, because they didn't. neither one of those two were big fans of Shador, but they felt like he got the worst of it. Like he didn't deserve what happened, and they felt like it was sort of this boycott of like having to deal with Dion, but nobody was going to come out and say it. And it's like, if you don't want to deal with Dion, just come out and man up and say it.
Yeah. There are parts of it that feel kind of like Kaepernicky, where nobody wants to actually like discuss the reasons why. They just hope that it goes away. You know what I mean? Like that seems weird. Like I wasn't a huge fan of him, obviously, because he went to Colorado, and
Right.
anyway. So, but the dude could take a lick and still get up and make plays. I mean,
oh yeah.
I don't know if there's a college quarterback who's been sacked more times in his career than that kid, and he's
not in the last 2 years. There hasn't, because I think he was the most sacked quarterback in the country both years.
But then he'd get right up and still lead a winning drive. I mean, like,
yeah, he didn't miss time.
Crazy.
Well, and he had almost no running game.
Yeah.
Not only did he not have an offensive line, he had no running game.
Right. So.
Well, from what everybody says, he didn't interview well. He didn't prepare. His comments were borderline amateurish, unprofessional. Like, I think he told a couple teams, look at the tape. Like they'd ask him about how he handles certain. He'd say, look at the tape. So I think there was. I think there was definitely a part of it. It came down to, I guess maybe some teams felt like he was entitled a little bit. I don't know, but at some point, like, so Cleveland thought at fifth round he was
it was fifth,
a good value. I was shocked they took the kid out of Oregon,
Dylan Gabriel. Yeah,
I'm just like, you guys have so many problems, and clearly at that point they didn't think Shador was going to fall into their lap in the fifth round, or else why? I don't know. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. I didn't really question why what Cleveland did in the first few rounds, and they got a bunch of picks, some good picks for that trade. But like, then you're gonna use it on two. Like, if you thought Shador was your guy, then just grab him earlier.
Right.
Don't use 2 picks on, like, you're guaranteed one of those picks was an absolute waste. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. Yeah. So
yeah,
I didn't quite understand that, but I actually do think Shador was probably going to be fairly decent in the NFL, if you ask me. I mean, they grabbed another running back who is kind of a beast. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Whatever. Cleveland sucks.
I mean, the one thing that Cleveland did, I thought that was smart was the draft pick for next year, the number 1 round pick.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
If they're honestly planning to try and get Arch, then you have 2 number 1 draft picks next year, and you try to package those for.
However, I have read Arch is not coming out next year because he wants to graduate.
Hey, I think that would be smart for Arch, frankly, because if you've seen him play so far, like, he's still pretty unrefined. At least it feels.
Well, he's only played. I mean, his stat. He threw for almost 1,000 yards and like 2 picks and 9 touchdowns or something.
Right, but he's only started 2-3 games.
2 games.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing we've noticed is, like, for instance, the juxtaposition between Anthony Richardson, who is struggling big time, having started a total of like 11 games in college, or 12, something like that, and then you got the kid from North Carolina a few years back, not Drake May, but the one before him.
Trubisky.
He did the same thing AR did, right? Where he only played like 12, 13 games in college and then struggled in the NFL. But then you bring some of these other guys, like you look at Purdy, he started for 4 years. And Purdy, like, he had so many reps and he played so much football that when he left, I think he was more well prepared to handle being a starting quarterback in the NFL than like 2 guys who start like 12 games, So I think there's something said for Arch just starting games in college. And it's not like he's going to need the money. He'll get paid in college. And so it's not like he's really going to be missing out on a whole lot trying to get to the NFL. He could take 2 years and really, work on his game so that his NFL career is so long,
Okay. I'm going to throw this out there. Right. I'm not trying to commandeer your podcast, Aaron.
No, it's our podcast.
How long does older Raiola stay at Nebraska?
Dylan?
Donovan?
Donovan.
Starts with a D. Starts with a D.
Donovan will be there until the others are gone. Then he's gone. I have a feeling that might be the case. I hate to say that, but
what?
Say that again. What about him?
The O-line coach?
Yes. What about him?
I think he's there until the 2 quarterbacks are gone, and then he's gone. Like, I don't think he'll follow them. I just wouldn't be surprised if, because there seems to be a lot of heat on that guy. The O-line's.
I think the heat is dissipating a little bit. I think, just from what I've heard from my sources, other podcasts.
Yes, those are my sources.
That the coaching staff feels like their offensive line is much better than people think. Like
Oh yeah.
they're like they're not super effusive about it, but I think that they're pretty excited about what they've got this year.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing that too. That they're pretty excited about the O line. The Spindler kid's come in and looks good, and the Pritchett kid from Alabama seems like he's tearing it up. The center kid
Just
seems to have like Evan seems to have like a nasty streak in him apparently. So I like to hear that. So now it's just the other guard position and the other tackle position that we got to make sure squared. And then it sounds like they're pretty excited about what we've got finally. So hopefully some of the heat does go away on Donovan. I don't know if it's been deserved, but I was just musing that he'll be there until the others. Dylan, honestly, I think it depends on how they do this year. If they go 10-2 and miss the playoffs, but they it's a really successful season, and or 9-3, I think he'll be back for another year. I don't. There's something about him and Arch. There's something about those two that I don't see them as transfer kind of guys, like portal guys, but maybe I'm wrong.
you think he'll just leave early for the draft?
That would be the only way that he would leave, I think, is if they made the playoffs and he felt like, he was getting feedback and his dad felt like he was ready, then maybe. But I actually don't think I don't actually think the chance of that happening is that big. To me, that's the only way I think he would leave after this year.
Well, you don't think he wants to play with his younger brother?
Dylan? No, I think he does. I think the chances of him staying for 2 more years is pretty significant. Like I would put the chances of that at like 80% or above.
Yeah. I was going to say 76.4%, but we can round up.
We can round up. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty significant that he'll stay there through,
But younger brother's a quarterback too, right?
Yeah, Dayton. Yeah. He's a lefty, so that'll be interesting.
Question is,
what?
No, go ahead.
Does Trey Taylor ever take a snap at Nebraska?
DB and Ravi were talking about this. I talk about those two guys like they're my buddies now. So DB and Ravi were talking about this on the podcast the other day, and I actually tend to agree with them because I don't know anything that much about the kid. So what they were saying is the kid's been, I guess, in the spotlight and been getting recruited since he was 7 or something, or like 7th grade. 7th grade. It was 7th grade, not 7.
Yeah.
So he's been getting recruited since he's been in the 7th grade. And he apparently visited like
recruit.
What's that?
He's not a recruit for next year. He's a 27 recruit.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why people, like Andrew, I think is asking, like, if there's still 2 more years. I also will say this: I think that it will depend on how well Nebraska does in the next 2 years. If Nebraska if they're competitive this year, we look like we keep getting better, then I think he stays. I think it's more likely he stays a commit. If we go backwards, if Nebraska goes backwards and they look like garbage, then then it's anybody's game at that point.
Well, what I'm saying is if Baby Raiola starts in 2 years, or year 3, because if Dylan hangs out for another 2 years, then you got Baby Raiola taking over after that, and it's going to be between Baby Raiola being. Are you guys sick of me saying Baby Raiola yet? I don't know why I'm saying that. I can't remember his name.
Dayton.
Dayton. Thank you. Like him being a sophomore and Trey being a freshman.
Yes.
And we've seen how many times. I mean, Trey's a number 3 quarterback. How many times have we seen if they lose out on that job, boom, they bail? That's the only reason. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, and I think it's a valid question. I actually have been kind of wondering, just because of what I've heard, and because of because again, I haven't watched any film on this kid. I haven't watched film on. Well, I mean, I've seen a little bit of film on Dayton. It seems
so you didn't
like
prepare for the podcast.
What's that?
So you didn't prepare for your own podcast, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
You didn't watch film.
Yeah, no, you know me, I just bring it, but no, like
I'm just kidding.
Everything I know about the two, like Trey is, I think, considered a better quarterback in terms of like stars and athleticism and everything else. I honestly wonder, what does Dayton do if Trey comes in and wins that job?
Yeah.
Does Dayton attempt to stick around and try to fight for the job, or does Dayton just be like, all right, you guys have moved on to him, I want to play, peace out, and I can't say I would necessarily blame him.
Yeah, who knows?
you know, but
Well, I'm going to blame him.
Or his
well,
dad. Just kidding.
no, I mean, Dominic
It's
seems
a good
like
problem to
really,
have. It's a good problem to have.
what's crazy is Dominic seems like the opposite of like Nico's dad. Like he just seems to be the total opposite parent. You know what I mean? You know who I'm talking about? Nico's
Nico Horner?
no, Nico the Tennessee Iamaleava
Of course.
from Tennessee. What do you guys think of that whole situation?
I don't know a thing about it.
Okay.
I feel like you should sum it up for us, Aaron.
I mean,
So
I know. I just want to know what your thoughts are. I know how I feel about it, but I'm really curious about maybe
what I feel.
how you would explain it to somebody who's never heard the story before.
Gotcha.
Tennessee news doesn't make its way all the way out here to Utah and New
Does not.
Mexico. It's more.
Does not. No.
That's so funny. Well,
I heard high
Nico
level,
was
but Aaron, give
he
us some
was the
details.
quarterback at Tennessee, and Tennessee had agreed to pay him like somewhere north of $8 million over the course of college. He was making like 2.1 a year, and or something like that, 2.1, 2.4, something like that at Tennessee. And then like literally like within 2-3 days of their spring game, all of a sudden stuff started coming up again because he'd kind of something had happened in January. I don't know anything about that because I didn't hear anything about it, but that came up when they were talking about it. And apparently they were trying to get it looked like he was trying to get more money. The kid was. And so he apparently like told Tennessee he wanted more than the 2.1 that he was getting. He wanted somewhere the number I heard was somewhere around 4 million a year for the next year. And Heupel and Tennessee just said, we're out, and so they just said, you're gone, because he missed practice the day before the spring game. So he ends up committing to UCLA, where not only is he not making as much yearly as a number, so he's only making, I think, like 1.8 or something versus what he was making at Tennessee, but now he's paying California taxes. So his real money that he's actually making goes from like probably closer to about 1.8 in Tennessee to like about $1 million less than that each year, because he ended up at UCLA. And the thing that kind of came out to me was that his dad and some agent guy were the definite driving force behind this. Like I almost felt bad for Nico because it really felt like he just got caught up and dad was like, you need to get more money. And they were doing the negotiating. And then Nico ends up in the middle of it. That was kind of the feeling I got. And I just,
This is not the definition of irony. Nebraska cancels the Tennessee game. He transfers to UCLA, and Nebraska is now going to play.
Right, play him at UCLA. I mean,
Dude,
he had a season that wasn't that much better. He had a season that was really similar to Raiola's in terms of stats. So,
well, what UCLA did to Nebraska last year was
embarrassing,
frustrating,
and now we play him in LA.
Yeah. What do you guys and then Penn State 2 weeks later at Penn State?
Oof.
And Penn State is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, they're loaded.
Even
after losing Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. I don't know. What are you guys' expectations for this season? Like, what are you thinking?
I will give you my opinion. I feel like I have gone into every season with expectations and been thoroughly disappointed. Last year I was happy because they showed progress and they had a winning record, but like I am trying to take this as a like just enjoy the ride, and they lose, and I'm going to try to not let it ruin my weekend. And if they win, then sweet.
I feel you. I actually feel you.
My weekend.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, I was just going to like their schedule's really interesting.
I don't know what to make of most of the league, because I think that the teams in the league are that we think sort of in our like arrogant Nebraska minds, where we think that we're better than these teams and really haven't been. Those teams I think are probably going to be pretty dang good this year. I don't know where Michigan State stands, but Michigan's not going to be the same team they were last year.
Well, and their defense last year was vicious. Like their defense was may have been one of the best in the country, if not the best.
Yeah.
They did lose like 11 guys or something off of that defense. Like they lost a boatload of dudes. They have to be better offensively, because offensively they were garbage.
Yeah.
But they'll be doing the same thing that Nebraska did last year. The Underwood kids coming in as a 5-star, and I don't know if offensively they'll have a ton around him. Loveland, the tight end's gone, their running back's gone. They lost a couple of offensive linemen. The defense won't be the same. So Michigan, I mean, I think they're recruiting at a high level, so they're always going to be good. But I don't know if they're unbeatable. And it'll be in Lincoln.
Wait,
So
Well,
isn't that in Lincoln?
yes, it is. But
yeah, it's
which game did
yeah,
we decide to go to?
Which game did we decide to go to?
Was it Michigan or Michigan State? I'm not scrolling back through that text thread. That's like,
No, I don't. Yeah, they're both at.
I thought it
Nebraska.
was Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it was.
We could.
But either one works for me.
We could call an audible on that, right?
Yeah,
It's just a 2-week difference.
I mean, it is 3rd and long, so we could call an audible.
it is.
I like where your head is at, Josh.
Um,
And it's filling most of the screen, so keep it right where it's at.
Story of my life.
they
I
should be
think
3-0 when they
Nebraska's
play
gonna be-
Michigan.
That's going to be a freaking expensive if we go to that one, but that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean
When
they
is
should
the
be
last time
3-0 when
won?
they play Michigan. We'll see how they do there. Then Michigan State, Maryland should be a game they should win.
Well, Maryland's going to be better too.
Yeah, I mean I think most of them will be better, and they'll
I'm
definitely.
always kind of underwhelmed by
You have to
Maryland.
have faith at some point that Nebraska's actually recruiting and getting guys in here. Like I just feel like at some point we have to. I mean, we have to see it, of course, but we keep hearing that like they now look like other big time teams, right? Like you have that guy that gets off the bus and you go, whoa, look at that guy, and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm excited about the defense. Like a couple of those guys that they picked up, like the Dason McCullough kid. Like man, that guy was a tackling machine at Oklahoma. Like they're like 6 deep, I guess, at corner and stuff. So I mean, I don't know.
Did you say?
What does the running back room look like?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got Emmett, and then you've got Quentin Ives seems to be the number 2 guy, and then after that, I don't know what else. I think the Sharmar Brown would have been helpful, but Miami offered him, I guess, a lot more money, so we didn't get that transfer. But
I think so if you listen to, because Damon Benning and Robbie were talking about this as well quite a bit, and they said that they think that the coaching staff is more excited about what they already have than people realize. And
right,
but again, you still got to prove it, because like none of those running backs who are still there have none of them have been lights out, but
no.
but I think that they're excited about what they have, and so they didn't feel like they needed to go crazy first.
Yeah, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see them, because something they haven't done at Nebraska in a long time is find a number 1 guy and then actually ride with him. Like they seem to like constantly be rotating backs like almost every series. And I'm like, how does a guy get into the game if you play him for a series and then he's gone? Or if even during a series, like say it's a 10-play series and he carries the ball 3 plays in a row and now he's out, but he doesn't come back in on the next series. It's like, how does a guy get into the rhythm of it? I'd like to just see him pick Emmett and then ride with Emmett. Just let's see what this kid can do. And then give Quentin whatever, like every 4th series or, whatever, but, or, sub in middle of a series if Emmett's gotten 4 carries in a row or something, like that's fine. But like, man, they seem to be splitting reps for years now between the top running backs. And I'm like, we haven't had somebody since, I mean, it feels like it's been since Amir, like I'm probably wrong on that. Who?
Zigbo was the last 1,000-yard rusher.
He was after Amir, right?
No way.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I mean, that's a while, I'd love to see a 1,000-yard kid. Like that's what I'd like to see, is somebody good enough.
Bell cow.
Yeah. Somebody that we can just, give him the ball and let's run. So we'll see. I mean, I think they've got the athletes this year. Feels like they do, at least, and I don't know if I've felt that. Like I felt positivity last year, but I didn't feel positivity that said we have the athletes to get somewhere between 9 and 11 wins. Like I didn't feel like they felt like they had that kind of, I think they felt like they would get to like 6 wins easier than they did. I felt like they felt that way. So I was a little bit disappointed. I felt like they should have had last year, like just one more, either Illinois or Iowa last year. And I think they would have hit where I felt like they should have been. And frankly, they could have won both of those games.
Last year is frustrating because they just could not get both sides of the ball to have a good game at the same dang
Same
time.
time. Yeah.
I mean, like UCLA, the defense could not get off the field.
No.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And yeah, just so frustrating.
And the USC game was equally frustrating because what they'd have like 5 dropped interceptions that they should have had. I mean, that was so frustrating. That kid just kept throwing balls. It was like, let's pick at least one more of these off. Like, come on, you know. And they were close in both. I mean, for as bad as the UCLA game was, they only lost by what, less than a touchdown, right? Like they were in it. What's
20,
that?
2027. I'm looking at it.
Okay, so it's 27. Yeah, so they were down by, they lost by a touchdown. I mean, they've been close. Now they just need to do. They need to have one more drive per game, like either a defensive stop or one more like offensive drive for a touchdown. You know, I don't even know what to count the Indiana game last year. That was bizarre. Like when I went to that game, and
into it.
Yeah, it was so weird. It was just a whole different feeling, even in the stadium. Like as they were warming up, I was like, this just feels off, and it was weird. So I don't know what happened there, but you know, I expect Indiana to be decent. I don't know if they'll be that good, but we don't have them on the schedule this year, so
Yeah.
Who would have thought that we'd be like saying that?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have Illinois either, so I think that's a positive.
Or Wisconsin.
Or
I
Wisconsin.
kind of wish we had Wisconsin.
Right? I don't expect Wisconsin to be good. I don't know what people like. I'm fine. Like let the coach stay because as long as he's there, I don't expect much out of it. He keeps trying to. I think he keeps trying to make Wisconsin something they're not. If that makes any sense.
Yes,
I just saw an article on ESPN that was like an interview with Fickle, and he was talking about how he's trying to go back to their roots and stuff like that. So who knows how that will translate? But
oh, maybe he's doing that because he can't be running, you know, 3 wide and you know 1 back, 1 tight end, and then you know not running a ball. Wisconsin's just not built that way. So
that's not the kind of system that Fickle knows. I mean,
no, I know.
Doesn't never run, you know, like an NFL, like single running back. You know, well, what? It's not. I wouldn't. What would you call the Cincinnati offense when he was there?
Oh, at Cincinnati, he's running spread. You know, I think it was spread. Yeah. I mean, he's got he's running 3 wides, 1 tight end. You know, 1 running and that's what kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that reminded me of Central Florida under Frost.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot more, you know, throwing the ball around the yard and everything else, whereas he needs to have like, you know, 8 offensive linemen, 6 of them on the field at a time. You know, your tight end looks like an offensive lineman and you just mash the ball on people and then throw play action. I mean, that's what works at Wisconsin. You know,
just seemed like such an odd hire for that type of culture.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a weird one, which is why I wonder. I mean, you know what it felt like to me was Wisconsin hiring their Bill Callahan. That's what it felt like.
That's great. It's a great point.
That is,
yeah.
So I thought that was a really weird hire for them, you know, and it was like, that didn't work for us. And now you're going to end up in your own little 20, 25 year purgatory until you find yourself again. And, you know, and you've either, you know, figured out how to get back to who you were, or you finally adapted over time to the new thing, but it's not going to happen in like 2-3 years. You're going to have to go through multiple coaches and, you know, whoever. So, well, we're getting close to an hour. So I have to ask, have you, like, Andrew, have you guys watched all, like, where are you at in Andor?
Yeah, I watched all 6 episodes.
You've watched all 6? Have you, Josh?
Yeah, I caught up. My family's not happy about it, but I did.
Did you tell them you had to do it for your professional podcast debut?
I just did it.
Oh, okay. All right. So thoughts from you guys on the first 6 episodes?
It's starting a little slower than I had hoped, but overall, I really like it. I think Andrew doesn't like it so far.
Apparently not.
Taking long. Like, how many episodes is it going to be? 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff is just taking too long to happen.
Right.
Weird because we know like what happens in Rogue One, like you know what it's building up to, and so it's kind of like, well, what's this weird middle ground that we're in right now? Is there going to be a season 3?
No,
I didn't think so. So
no, this is it.
So yeah, so you've got to do stuff like introducing Krennic and other stuff, but like the what's her name, Mon Mothma or whatever,
mm-hmm.
Like that storyline doesn't really seem to be going anywhere interesting. That was always just a weird financial background story that I don't get why it's truly there. Or maybe there's something that will come out about that makes it more pertinent. Otherwise, it's just a
That's
weird.
all I'm thinking too. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is
There's no action to it. It's just like a
no.
engine builder. Like it has. It. I don't know. It just seems pointless. But there's got to be something. Otherwise, it's like that part's dumb. Like why would you even include that
I'm
in half of the show?
I'm okay if there's not that much action. It's just like there's no urgency.
Mhm.
Right.
I didn't feel any urgency, and I haven't yet. Now I know we're halfway there, and I've read that the last six are will blow away the first six episodes. So I'll probably be changing my tune next time we talk. But at this point, not I liked season one better so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, and it's interesting because part of what I'm the only part that I'm kind of struggling with, I guess, or one of the parts is the fact that you've had this jump. So you had the first three
Yeah.
episodes, you jumped a year, and now they're supposed to do that again, right? So we're jumping ahead another year with
Yes.
the next set of episodes, and that's the part that I'm having a little part struggle, like a little bit of struggle with, because I'm like, okay, it feels like you have to set up or at least give some sort of like background or something for what's happened in the last year. Like you're I, I don't know. It just feels odd. And I mean, if if for whatever reason, like for instance, the guy who was his friend, they got killed in the cornfield by the field of
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
Yeah.
like, why did we focus on him like at all? If you're just gonna kill him off that quick and like take them out of there. Like what are like
Well,
how does that relate to this larger story at all? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm
well,
struggling
you
to see
gotta.
why all that background is there. Like for and then the in the first three episodes, the whole thing with the little gang that like caught him when he landed with the TIE fighter.
That
Like
was
what is the point of this? Like
It's the same thing as the two ships. Like one ship can't outrun the other ship from like what was the friggin' Last Skywalker or whatever.
oh my gosh, that was oh
Uh,
yeah,
like
so
it's the
bad.
same idea. It's the same story plot line. Like it's just executed a different way. But that's how every single Star Wars story is. That sort of thing exists in all of them. I mean, but I do get like that they have to start killing off some of these characters because he's going to be the lone guy that's pushing, the Rogue One connection. And so you do have to get rid of some of these people. But I also get what you're saying, where it's like, well, I don't get why you have to do a year later. Why? Like it's all
yeah,
Yeah, I don't either. I don't
that
yeah.
either.
seems like a waste of time, and especially
Okay.
with how quickly things were moving. It was like the end of season one is this, big revolt on
Mm.
Ferrix, and then they're like, we're just gonna go farm somewhere and hide.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's over. We
And
tried.
is that TIE fighter like what that they spent so much time?
Right?
Did he still one TIE fighter? One
Yeah.
is that like some kind of prototype that's like
I
some
think the
crazy
idea behind it, but it doesn't
no,
like.
I love the opening scene. And I'm with you. I like the idea of it too. But where does that lead? Why? Why did we focus two episodes?
Hmm.
He just feels like he's not a main character so far.
Right.
And then he goes and spies on Gorman and comes back and says, nothing to see here. They're a bunch of idiots. I'm not getting
Right.
involved. And then they send in the two girls.
Right.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Luthen clearly felt Gorman was worth it, in their conversation, but
well,
he was like, "Why are we wasting our time on this? Like, why are we wasting our time? Like that's what
it
you know,
was it was such a weird way to bring the girls into
right?"
the
And then they
story
kill one
and then
off.
kill off one in a stupid uh,
Accidental shot. Yeah.
an
Yes.
accidental shot that it was a 1 in a million to hit somebody, and of course it
Right.
happened to be her, like
Right.
standing up on top of the building, like, and there's like this much of her exposed,
Right.
and somehow that moron. And I get like I don't know. I don't want to pick it apart because I feel like I just want to wait until it's all
Right.
done
No, I'm with you.
and see the whole
Although I
thing.
will say that the relationship between Dedra and Cyril has to be the most awkward thing I have
Dude,
ever witnessed in my life.
so
It's like
she's
Pee Wee
so
Herman
she's
having
using
a
him, right?
relationship with Skeletor.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
What? It's so weird.
It is a bizarre. She's all turn off the lights, and you're like, really?
Are you gonna hurt me?
Like
Hurt?
yeah, but
Very
she's using him, right?
You don't think she has like something because he saved her life in the revolt on
Well, I'm just going off of the line that her boss said to her. He can never know why he's really there.
oh.
I mean, I think it could be both, but
It could
because
be.
part of me thinks like uh she's got this like just kind of angry side, like angry controlling weird side that
Well, that's the understatement of the year, bro.
I mean, like she's just like everything about her just looks mad all of the time.
Yeah, she
And
hasn't smiled once.
no, and
She's all, I've tried it. It just doesn't form in my
it
face.
hurt. It hurt my face.
You know what I did enjoy though was her shutting down Cyril's mother, who might be
Yes.
the most annoying character on that show. Like that woman drives me
Which,
crazy.
yeah, oh my gosh, her voice. I can't even talk about
Right?
it. But that scene did make me think she has some feelings for him,
Right.
or she just pities him.
Could do that.
Still a feeling.
Well, you're right. Yeah, not a good one, but yeah, still a feeling. That is technically correct. So who knows? We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see what happens, with that. So, um, yeah, the next three. I hope there's a ton of action. Like I haven't, and I'm with you, Andrew. It doesn't have to be action because there were a couple of scenes I was thinking to myself in the last 3 episodes, there were a couple of scenes that there was a lot of tension, and so I kind of liked feeling a little bit like, oh, like what are we doing here, kind of a thing. But like, I didn't feel like there was enough to go with it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
it's because we know that at the end of the third episode, we're jumping another year.
Yes,
and so
exactly.
If something doesn't happen in that little time frame, you can't like carry the urgency over to the following year.
Exactly.
I think that's where like the disconnect is happening for me.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it took a while for season 1. Yeah, it was a slow burn to begin with, but you saw where it was leading to.
Sort of. Oh, you said episode 1?
No, season 1.
Season 1 was like just freaking awesome. I mean, it might have been a slow burn for the overall story, but like crap was happening all along, and it was.
You're right. Yeah.
I just thought this sucker can't catch a freaking break, man.
What's that?
I said this poor sucker can't catch a break.
No.
Yeah, I'm just. I guess maybe the writing's too smart for my small brain.
I will say this. I do love the fact that they've still got like Lonnie and him working, and meeting with Luthen and things like that. Like I do
like that too. Yeah,
because that speech in season 1 is like almost to me the pinnacle of the entire series.
For sure. What I almost think the girl that works for Luthen or with Luthen is she's awesome.
Oh yeah,
she is a bad A.
The one who bled to get the listening device out of the table.
I almost think she's like the only one who can actually kind of tell Luthen like to shove off. Like,
right.
Like, here's what we're doing and why, and he kind of just will listen to her. But
right.
Yeah, she's awesome. I was gonna say, do either of you know what the heck that the fumes were that freaking Saw Gerrera was like inhaling and like getting?
That's a great question.
What in the world? Is it a weapon? Is it like crack cocaine in hyperspace? Is it like what the heck is that machine thing doing, dude? And then that's it. Like we're done.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're going to have to connect the dots with that because otherwise that's just an absolutely bizarre choice.
Yeah.
Well, part of me just wondered, like, because I don't obviously get into a lot of the side stuff. So like a lot of the cartoons and things of that nature, I haven't seen much. So I don't know if Saw's been in any of that stuff.
He has.
Okay, so I don't know as much about Saw because the only place I'd seen him prior to like this stuff in this series was in Rogue One. And so it's felt like to me like they're trying to bring him in and show us that he's crazy and like he's just crazy on some level. And so he's fighting and he's crazy, and then that's who you see in Rogue One. So here's a little bit of background on him, and that's why he's in Rogue One, because he's a crazy, like
he's like a militant.
Yeah, and I agree. He definitely felt like he was doing drugs of some sort, like huffing whatever that was, the smell.
Which I think is why he needs that gas mask thing in Rogue One.
In Rogue One, because he burns himself up or something inside. Yes.
Yeah, he's just over there like snorting lines.
Yeah, that's essentially what he's doing. He's snorting lines off of whatever that was. And
that was so weird.
It was bizarre. And I didn't quite get it. And I wonder if, like, does the kid who released the gas for him or whatever, does he end up playing a role somewhere? Is that kid anything other than an associate of?
He was the son of the guy who was tortured in the first.
Yeah, he was in season 1, but
he was the son of that guy who was tortured first, and then that's how they got the information of where Bix was.
Oh,
yeah.
And the kid also created the bomb.
He threw the bomb
at Pharaoh.
Oh, I was
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to
he
figure
did
out where
throw
in
the
the
bomb,
heck
that's
he
right.
came from. But
Yeah,
yeah, okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I mean, being part of the rebellion, I guess.
Well, now he's known as the kid who just created the first space bomb.
Right? It's the first space paint huffer.
I mean, so
That was
weird.
so weird.
He died, didn't he?
Did he
No.
die from that?
I thought
he
that Saw like exposed it, and that's how he got rid of him, because Saw knew that he had Saw had to get rid of him.
No, Saw killed the other guy.
Oh,
The guy
that's
who was-
that's
The guy
right.
he was teaching was the
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And now the kid is stuck with him and can't go
Yeah.
back to the grain planet.
Yeah, or wherever he's
which is a
supposed
real bummer, because like
The
that
all
was
grain
so
planet.
exciting.
We know how important space wheat is.
Oh, he's hooked on space weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might actually be.
He's like, I don't want to go anywhere. This is home now, Saw. He's like, I'm good. This is the greatest thing ever.
I love it.
I'm staying. I'm not leaving.
What if it's part of some weird psychological weapon against the Empire or something? What if, I don't know. What do you guys think that's going to end up being? Any guess?
Well,
They got to connect. They
all
got to
I'm going to
connect.
say is it's got to be something, or otherwise that will have been a giant waste of our time in the series. It's got to be something.
You mean like the wedding?
Yes, like the wedding.
Yeah, like why on earth would you bother making those two kids a focal point?
I literally fast forwarded through the last few minutes of that.
What if those two kids create Jalen Erso, and then Jen Erso is the daughter of Jalen Erso?
You know what? So honestly, like as good as the writing and the stories have been so far and everything other than these few episodes, I feel like he's going to bring it on home, and we're going to come back and be like, wow, that was incredible. Because why all of a sudden would it just not make any sense, right? Like I feel like there's just things hanging out there right now. They're going to connect all the dots, like of all the things you could have shown. I don't know, all the limited time shows that.
Yeah.
So
what phase of construction was the Death Star in when they show the one scene of it being built? How far along was it?
Yeah, it was pretty far.
It was pretty much done, wasn't it? Because they used it to blow up.
It couldn't be, because you remember. Wait, what was the time gap in Rogue One from when Jalen Erso was a kid to when she was an adult? Because when she's an adult, that's when Jalen Erso,
the experiment,
had gone back to finishing the Death Star. So Rogue One is already happening timeline wise with Andor, right? It has to.
Now that you mentioned it, it seems like it has to be.
It has to
be running concurrently. Like her life with where she gets rescued out of the hole in the ground, when Krennic comes for the family and Saw shows up and pulls, it says, we got a long way to go or whatever.
Yeah.
Like from that point on to the start, like to when she meets
Luke Skywalker.
No, why is my brain
Andor,
Jesus.
You know the show?
Cassian. I was trying to think of Cassian. Oh my god.
Yes. That was the highlight of the podcast.
This is so bad. Like I can't even. I walked from the kitchen into the freaking office, and I can't remember.
4-star rating. Up right here.
Yeah.
So no, like that has to be running concurrently. I think between that time frame when she's with Saw, and then he leaves her at what 16 or something, and she was ended up on her own, and then she got caught by the Empire, and she was under the Lyanna Halleck name or whatever. All that had to have been going on
right now.
Yeah,
right.
Concurrently with what's going on with Cassian and everything. I wonder if they'll even bring any of that in.
Well, because that's her first introduction show is Rogue One. I mean, that's her first introduction to the universe is when Andor meets her for the first time in.
Yeah, but you've introduced it. You've got Saw in this series, and she was working for Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And if that's running concurrently, then maybe we see her somehow with Saw. Like I don't know if she's in it. Like I don't know if that actress is in it, or if they had to find a different actress to play the role or what. But
that would make sense that they introduced her in that way. But it would have to be separate from Cassian, because Cassian.
Yes. Yeah, because they didn't know each other.
I do think that they introduce K2SO in this, don't they?
They do, yeah. Which I
Oh,
can't wait for because
That
he's
was in the trailer.
fantastic.
okay. And Mon Mothma becomes the lady sort of running the show. When they bring
Yeah.
her in, she's
Yeah.
with Cassie. She's like, this is Cassie, and he's our rebel intelligence or whatever.
She's kind of like the General Organa.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the post-credit scene after season 1 of Andor, and the Death Star is completely finished except for the laser cannon. That's what they're finishing.
It's like it's being like inserted in.
All these cylinders like that go into each other. And yeah, it's fantastic. That scene is so good. Oh my gosh, so good. But yeah, it's done.
I knew as soon as he went to the prison and they were building they started
Yeah.
showing those things assembled, I was like, oh, that's Death Star.
You did?
Oh yeah. That's the framework for the Death Star. What else would it be?
Did you know that, Aaron? Did you think about that?
I didn't. I just thought it was.
I didn't either.
It makes perfect sense now, but my mind did not go there when I saw that. Of course.
Yeah, I thought that was so great. Yeah, how they tied that in. But
that was that whole part of season 1 was wild. The whole prison scene and everything where they break out and everything. I mean, that was.
I want to know what happens to the
yeah,
character.
guy who can swim.
Yeah, the guy who couldn't swim, the leader of it all. What was his name? The character's name?
Kino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah.
He's so freaking good.
Oh, he's amazing.
Awesome, everything he's done.
Yeah. He is incredibly talented.
They're doing another Gollum movie.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's called The Hunt for Gollum, I think is what it's going to be called.
It's
not a cartoon, an actual live action.
Right. And where will it be injected in the storyline? Like
in between, I think, the Hobbit series and the Lord of the Rings series.
Okay.
I mean, it has to be before the Hobbit, right? Or no, I guess I don't know what's happening, but it's not like his backstory, is it?
I don't know anything about it. Other than that, yeah.
That would be interesting.
Woo. Anyway, I didn't mean to cut off what you were saying, Aaron.
Oh no, that guy, he's amazing. But yeah, I mean they just left him standing there.
No, yeah, he didn't get knocked off. Cassian did.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, if I'm him, I'm still jumping. Like I'm not gonna stand there. Like I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna see if I can get somebody to help me or something. Like I don't know. Like
yeah,
I mean,
no, I'm saying.
Where? That was
I'm dead if I stay. Why stay? I mean, at least if I jump, I have a shot. Even if I can't.
I would have looked for some sort of raft, maybe. I mean, you'd think that they would have some sort of life-saving vehicles in case there was ever a problem with that thing getting flooded.
Sure.
Also a fair point.
But also, those things were in the middle of freaking nowhere. When it pans out, there's no land around.
Well, that's why I think they really only showed Andor and the one other guy surviving.
Everybody else drowned.
Well, I don't know that that's supposed to be the implication.
They pushed everybody down to get to the front.
Right.
Pushed everybody under.
Exactly.
They cut that scene out.
Kind of like the end of Titanic.
Yes.
There was space.
Kino.
Yeah. So no, that'll be interesting. All right, gentlemen. Well, all right, guys.
Cool, man.
Hey,
good to see you guys.
Appreciate it. Catch you later.
See ya.
Let's see here. All right. Well, that was the initial shot at a podcast here. I think for those of you watching, you got a feeling for what I think we're going to try and do here. We'll just be my brothers. We often get together, have great conversations like that and everything. And so as we improve and get better at this, we'll hopefully have a little bit more direction and everything. But this was just the first time, so just having a good time with it. If you're watching at this point and you want to see us talk about something, or if you want me to do a little bit more with helmets, somehow introduce that into the podcast, let me know. If you have any questions that you want to toss at us, just even things like what we like, don't like, things that we'll discuss, feel free to send it over and comment on the video, send over your thoughts, and we'll go from there. If you have questions or anything else you want to discuss or you want us to discuss, maybe next time we'll do a little bit more talking about ourselves or something to introduce ourselves a little bit more. But I thought this was fun, and I think it's a good time. So hopefully you hit the like button and follow us. We'll try and our conversations will probably be centered more on teams we enjoy, but we will try to cover more national stuff. And then obviously the entertainment stuff will be whatever we're watching at the time and things of that nature. So 2 weeks from now, we should have finished Andor, and we'll see what we think at that point when we talk it up again. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.